Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, today is Wednesday, January 7th, 2026, coming up on Roland Mark Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. A woman is shot and killed, murdered by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. Condemnations are ringing in from across the city, the state, and the country. And of course, the Department of Homeland Security and Donald Trump lying about what took place. We'll show you what happened and all of the reaction as well. Also, with today's shooting gaining national attention, a Black California family wants answers as to why an off-duty ICE officer killed him over some fireworks. We'll talk to the attorney of a Florida family. They want to know why cops killed their loved one when Donald Taylor was seen walking away from the cops who shot him in the back. Also, in tonight's Crockett Chronicles, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett lays into Republicans who are more concerned about fraud in Minnesota as opposed to keeping health care affordable. Also, the founder of CurlMix joins us to give us an update on the status of her company. Remember, she came on here saying if they didn't sell a certain number of orders, they'll be out of business by December 31st. She'll tell us where they stand. And sad news, a former Black Star Network show host has passed away after a courageous battle with cancer. We'll tell you about the passing of wealthy you, Deborah Owens. Folks, it's time to bring the funk on Roland Mark Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's rolling Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's rolling Martin now.
Weeks, an ICE agent has gunned someone down, this time in Minneapolis. It took place there with a confrontation with ICE officers. Now, the Department of Homeland Security, they literally tried to say that violent rioters weaponized a vehicle who attempted to run officers over. Folks, that's an absolute lie. This is the actual video of the shooting.
I'm trying to help. No, no. You fucking shot someone in the fucking face. You shot someone in the fucking face. Do you have a conscience? Do you have a conscience? Don't let the murderer leave! Don't let the murderer leave! You guys are the fucking criminals! You don't get to tell us what to do! Fucking criminals! Don't let him leave! Don't let him leave!
Pussy motherfuckers, man.
No! Get the fuck out of our neighborhood! Yeah, it's a fucking crime! We fucking know it! We're here! Yeah, like what the absolute fuck, man? What the absolute fuck? Do you have a conscience? Do you have a conscience? Do you have a conscience? This is the time, man. This is the time to have a conscience. This is not okay. This is not okay. Get a fucking conscience.
Can you look at me and tell me you're doing the right thing? Get the fuck out of here, bro. You didn't fire any weapons. Fucking your people did, man.
In the head. In the head.
I didn't do anything.
And she drove
You
me.
murderer. You. Look at me. You can't even.
Watch out, man. Watch out.
Why don't you look at me? I thought you could do it.
You okay, mommy?
Now, folks, here's this video from another angle. Watch this.
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood.
What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck? Dude, you did a murder for what?
Now, folks, Kristi Noem, who was the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, went on Fox News. This is what she said. This is how she described what took place in Minneapolis. You just saw the video. Here's what she said.
You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism. We're working with the Department of Justice to prosecute them as such. We will continue to protect our ICE officers and in cooperation with other law enforcement agencies as well.
Folks, what you just heard was an absolute lie. So I want y'all to cue up the video, the first video we played, the 4.5-minute video. Okay. And so she said, this is what she said. She said, oh, the officers were trying to get the vehicle out of the snow. In fact, so before I do that, I'm gonna do this here. This is the actual tweet that the Department of Homeland Security also posted. Today, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them. An act of domestic terrorism. An ICE officer, fearing for his life, the lives of his fellow law enforcement, and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training and saved his own life and that of his fellow officers. The alleged perpetrator was hit and is deceased. The ICE officers who were hurt are expected to make full recoveries. I want y'all to listen to that. This is the direct consequence of constant attacks and demonization of our officers by sanctuary politicians who fuel and encourage rampant assaults on our law enforcement, who are facing 1,300% increase in assaults against them and an 8,000% increase in death threats. This is an evolving situation, and we will give the public more information as soon as it becomes available. That's literally what they tweeted out. Okay, so this is what they tweet. Then, of course, the liar in chief, Donald Trump, posted this on his Truth Social. I have just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator, and the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive, but is now recovering in the hospital. Okay, and he said a whole bunch of other crap. All right, now play the video again. I want you to bring the audio down, and so when play the video where the car pulls up. Okay, stop right there. Pause it right there. Okay, let it go further. Pause it. Okay, right there, Kristi Noem live. She literally said they were trying to dig themselves out of the snow. Y'all can see there's no snow on that street. The street had already been cleared. You see it right there. So that's an absolute lie that she told. Okay, now press play. They're approaching her car. Freeze it right here. Freeze it. Okay, they're approaching her car. The officer walks up and immediately tries to pull the car door open. Press play. Now freeze it right there. Now you already see she was already in reverse. Okay, you saw the brake lights. So she pulls back. Press play. Stop. Freeze it right there. So you have two officers. One officer in front of this guard. So this guy fires a shot. Okay, fires a shot. Press play. And fires more shots at her. Now, look at the officer. He's walking. Now, if you fast forward it, what you're going to see is, maybe there's another angle. I think I'd seen it. It's another angle where the officer, he's walking back to his car. So Trump is lying. Noem is lying. The officers were not injured. They were not run over. It's flat out lies. Flat out lies. Now, here's what's even worse. Huffington Post has been given a video. Let me know if y'all have it. If you don't have it, please let me know. The folks at Huffington Post got a video where a doctor A doctor came on the scene, and they refused to allow the doctor to see the woman. They refused to allow it. In fact, it took 15 minutes before police would allow, before an ambulance arrived. They would not, because the ambulance was blocked because of police cars. So the paramedics had to run on foot to treat the woman. Yeah. That actually happened. And again, goes to show you what we're dealing with here. And these folks have been lying. So immediately, conservative media and others, they jumped at it. Oh my God, they're attacking ICE. Nope, that's not what happened. We saw flat out exactly what happened and how this woman was murdered by the ICE agents. The reaction was quick. It was swift. The mayor of Minneapolis was absolutely angry. Here is Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey.
There's a lot of information that is swirling around right now, and we collectively are going to do everything possible to get to the bottom of this, to get justice, and to make sure that there is an investigation that is conducted in full. But what we do know is that a 37-year-old woman is dead and that she was shot by ICE. We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. Not only is this a concern that we've had internally, we've been talking about it. They are not here to cause safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets, and in this case, quite literally killing people. So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed. As soon as it happened and we learned of the incident, we had several priorities. The first, of course, was to get the victim to the hospital and to get care as soon as possible. To the family, I'm so deeply sorry. There's nothing that I can say right now that's going to make you or your relatives or the friends of the victim feel any better. There were, I believe, 2 Minneapolis police officers that responded and were in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. The second was to get ICE off of the scene. There were dozens, if not hundreds, of ICE and federal officers that were there at the time. Having them there was only causing more chaos. Having them there was only making a difficult situation even more problematic, and one that, yes, they created themselves. There's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave. It's on you to make sure that further damage, further loss of life and injury is not done. We're going to be working towards justice as quickly as we possibly can right now, and justice is what we've all got to get. Next, a message to our community. Look, we all know that the agenda of this Trump administration is to create chaos. Let us respond right now with our best versions of self. This is a moment where all of us in Minneapolis and beyond, we can rise to the occasion. We can show them who we are. We can show them the kind of courage, bravery, love, and compassion that makes Minneapolis, Minneapolis, and that makes America, America. We are better than a bunch of ICE agents being deployed to cities around the country and ripping apart families and communities. We're better than that. And so we are going to meet that hate with love. We are going to meet that despair with hope. We are going to meet that injustice with constitutional justice ourselves. And we're going to make sure that in this very difficult moment, we do not take the bait that these ICE agents are trying to create and that the federal government, to be clear, wants. They want us to respond in a way that creates a military occupation in our city. They want an excuse to come in and show the kind of force that will create more chaos and more despair. Let's not let them. Let's rise to this occasion. Let's show them something far more beautiful than the kind of division that they're trying to stoke. Let's show them unity of purpose, of love, and the courage of our conviction. Our conviction, to be clear, is rock solid, and it is for our neighbors, all of our neighbors. It's for people who have lived here for 80 years. It is for new immigrants who have made this city a better place. That's the kind of love that we're going to show up with right now. If you're angry, I get it. I am too. If you're feeling that kind of despair, it's understandable. Let's show them who we can be. Let's show up with peace. To march, to protest, to hug one another, to love all the way with peace. Do not give them what they want. Finally, we've got a lot of work that needs to happen right now to make sure that, first, of course, the scene was secured as much as possible, that we were able to get the victim, now deceased, to the hospital. We've got a lot of work to do in the coming days. I want to thank our city enterprise for the work that they have done, but more importantly, what they're about to do, because this is going to be heavy and our city has been through a lot. We also know that we're prepared to do right for people.
All right, folks, this is how Minnesota Governor Tim Walz responded in his news conference after this murder.
This morning, we learned that an ICE officer shot and killed someone in Minneapolis. My deepest condolences to the family, to the loved ones who had to learn about this tragic event on national television. We have been warning for weeks that the Trump administration's dangerous, sensationalized operations are a threat to our public safety, that someone was going to get hurt. Just yesterday, I said exactly that. What we're seeing is the consequences of governance designed to generate fear, headlines, and conflict. It's governing by reality TV, and today that recklessness cost someone their life. I've reached out to Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and I'm waiting to hear back. Let me be clear, Donald Trump and his administration may not care much about Minnesota. That's been pretty evident, but we love this state. We won't let them tear us apart. We'll not turn against each other. To Minnesotans, I say this: I feel your anger. I'm angry. They want a show. We can't give it to them. We cannot. If you protest and express your First Amendment rights, please do so peacefully, as you always do. We can't give them what they want. The hearts and minds of the people in this state are on our side. To Americans, I ask you this: please stand with Minneapolis. To Minnesotans, know that our administration is going to stop at nothing to seek accountability and justice. The State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension are working on the investigation. We have activated the State Emergency Operations Center. State Patrol and Minnesota National Guard leadership is connected with the Minneapolis Police Department, the St. Paul Police Department, Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, the DNR, and Minnesota's Homeland Security and Emergency Management. We have activated dozens of members of the State Patrol's mobile response team. And from here on, I have a very simple message. We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough. There's nothing more important than Minnesotan safety. I've issued a warning order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community, they're business owners, they're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait.
Folks, again, just shocking and stunning, and the lies continue to come out of the White House as they try to cover all of this up. Our panel is Rebecca Carruthers, President, CEO of Fair Elections Center out of D.C., Tyler McMillan, social justice leader and movement strategist out of D.C., Joy Chaney, founder of Joy Strategies out of D.C. Rebecca, I'll start with you. I mean, it's just lies, pure and simple from Trump's White House. No shock that he's a liar in chief.
Well, first, Happy New Year, Roland. So with talking with some folks on the ground and getting messages like on my phone, just getting, asking people, hey, what are you hearing on the ground? Especially to your point earlier, the stark contrast with what the administration is saying that is lies and very inaccurate. Even the idea that this person was protesting, as you can see in that video and what I'm hearing from folks on the ground, that there is no reports that there was a formal protest that was happening. But even saying that this person was a domestic terrorist, once again, there's no, first of all, a domestic terrorist, there really isn't that designation by the federal government in this country, and they're not even able to prove it. So they're just saying words. What this reminds me of, I had a conversation with a colleague last year, and they said, look, we're in a slow-moving civil war. It started at Charlottesville, and quite frankly, it's a war between white people versus white people, just like the last civil war that we had. And so what's interesting as a Black person observing and seeing what's happening is a white woman was killed today. And yes, they're trying to paint her as super liberal because also in that car was her wife, because this was a white woman who happened to be a lesbian. And the reason why I bring that is that we know this administration is going to try to other her. They're going to try to say she was extremely radicalized. They're going to say all sorts of things. And so I'm curious what white people are going to do in this country when they see one another being killed by this fascist regime.
We sat there and we watched Tyler as Trump and Noem lied, talking about the injuries. This is the officer who shot and killed this woman. Oh my God! How did he survive? It doesn't look like he's having serious issues with walking. Again, but that's how they actually lie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say the only domestic terrorists that we have seen in this country lately is those who insurrected the Capitol and who was marching here in Washington. And I think when we look at this case, when federal agents kill civilians and walk free, I think the message is really clear. It says that some lives are expendable in the name of enforcement, and that Black lives and folks' lives, immigrant lives, continue to live under this constant surveillance and this fear and this militarization of their communities. And I think we are now growing up in a country still the same, just in a different fashion, from where state violence is normalized against the most vulnerable and impacted communities. And I think this is not a matter of public safety, but it's really a matter of state terror. And this is what ICE agents are doing across our country. And no badge should grant anyone the right to kill without consequence. And I think we must abolish systems that continue to prioritize control over humanity. And our communities deserve safety from these type of armed agents. It requires care and resources and trust. And as the mayor said, quite frankly, they need to get the fuck out of our communities. And I couldn't echo that even more.
Joy, the woman's name is Renee Nicole Good. She was 37 years old and a mother of 3.
Yeah. And to think, I mean, when she woke up this morning, she was just going about her business, right? Of daily living, being a wife, being a mother, etc., being a citizen, and somehow found herself in the crosshairs of someone. To me, what I saw when I saw that video, I thought, like, how many times could you just be in the middle of the street? You have people screaming at you, yelling at you. You're just simply trying to get away, and that someone would shoot you. There was no threat. Watch the video over and over again. I know in the coming days, many people will say a lot, but the benefit of this time that we're in is that you don't have to listen to what other people say, including any of us on here. You can just watch it yourself. This man was not at risk. He took out his gun prior to her moving her car in his direction. So he was poised to try to take lethal action against her. And what I found alarming is that he approached the scene, but then he also left the scene. You know, I don't know if we could see whether he just moved out in front or he left it all together, but I hope that it's been clear that he should not leave the state of Minnesota. He is certainly, I'm sure he's being deposed right now by the law enforcement there and by federal officials. But what they're saying about him is obviously a lie. We can see it with our own eyes. And, you know, it's funny. I thought we were supposed to protect white women. This is a white woman like you all, you know, and not like us. We know they don't care about us. But this is someone that's like you. Donald Trump has separated even the white community. And this is why we have to take a stand together. Because if sane people who saw what they saw and know that's wrong can come together with the rest of us, then, you know, then there's nothing that can stop us. We have a civil war that's quickly, a cold war that's quickly becoming a hot one. And I think we saw it today. It was bound to happen.
Indeed. Also, folks, on New Year's Eve, 43-year-old Keith Porter was fatally shot by an off-duty ICE agent in Los Angeles following celebratory gunfire outside of his home there. Porter's family is calling for a thorough investigation. The family attorney told a local news station there's no evidence that Porter fired a weapon towards the agent and questions whether the off-duty officer was justified in responding before police arrived. DHS claims the off-duty ICE agent acted in self-defense. The LAPD is investigating. All right, folks, got to go to break. We come back. We're going to talk with the attorney, a family in Florida who's demanding answers to a loved one who was shot and killed by a cop in the back. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
In the street by cops, and he had his hands up while doing so. In a newly released video, the August 3rd shooting, 32-year-old Donald Taylor is seen walking down the street. He goes out of frame, but what happens when he reappears that leads his family to say he was murdered. Now we want to warn people that this video is disturbing. It could trigger some folks, and so we want to give you some time to look away. Again, it's a very difficult video to have to watch. So let's go ahead and play it. All right, folks, do we have the video?
What are you doing? Why are you guys rushing me? Don't move! Do not move! Do not reach! Do not reach! Do not reach! I'm leaving.
Attorney Arian White represents the Taylor family. She joins us now from Miami. Okay, so walk us through this here. Were they trying to execute a warrant? What happened here? We have this video, and he's walking away. Is he walking away from a home? Is he in a driveway, in an alley? Explain to us exactly what we just saw.
Okay, well, first, thank you for having me, Roland. He is walking away. So the beginning of this video, there are a couple videos, and he is walking towards where we now know the police officers were. But then he's seen walking away, and you can kind of hear the commotion of when the interaction with the officers first begins. It's not an alleyway, it's a street where there's just more street. It's a neighborhood, it's a community. He's not on anybody's property, he's just walking down the street. And he comes into contact with these police officers, and he walks away, as you saw, with his hands up, with his arms out. And he's shot in the back once, a fatal shot. I am of the opinion, I'm not a medical expert, but it appears very clear that he died right there. But that is information that the family has not even been provided, quite frankly. Every piece of information that we have is because his family has been diligent in trying to figure out what occurred that day. Haven't gotten any information from the police. We don't know who the officer was. I cannot even confirm that they were executing a warrant. Transparently, there were several felony crimes that Mr. Taylor was suspected of occurring, I believe, the week before this incident. And it is possible that they were trying to execute a warrant, but I'm not 100% sure, because the answers that I have gotten from the multiple police departments that are investigating this, and we can talk about that a little bit more if you want, are none. Zero. We haven't gotten any information from them. We were able to get this video because of a Good Samaritan who thought it was important that this family have answers for what actually happened that day.
Again, what's strange to me is so he's walking away. We're going to play the video again because I think it's important so we properly understand what happened here. His hands are up. Doesn't look like he's reaching for anything. So go ahead and play the video again. Okay, so we see he's walking away. So here's what. So and watching that video there, and watching that video, come back. Okay, watch that video. He's not reaching for anything. Now, after he's shot, we hear them say, "Do not reach." He makes no move. So I don't understand why in the situation Why do you fire a weapon? Your gun is out, not taser or anything along those lines.
Yeah, there's no reasonable, rational, or legal explanation from our standpoint. There was no reason to shoot him. It's my understanding that sometime before this incident, there was another interaction where he was able to get away, is the way that they explain it. I haven't been given any details on that either. Even in that situation, though, there has not even been an allegation at that point that he was armed or anything like that. Now, at some point later in this video, there appears to be a weapon that's discovered on his body. But I want to remind you, Roland, we live in Florida. People have weapons. I have weapons, right? So it's not illegal to have a weapon. I'm going to be a lot more fair to them than they were to Mr. Taylor and say that assuming that they believed, all the allegations that have been put forth against him, that they approached him as though he was armed and dangerous, right? But in this country, at least, as far as I know, it does not matter if you're charged with a misdemeanor, a trespass, felony drug possession, or murder. The burden of proof is the same, right? The police don't get to be judge, jury, and executioner. He was entitled to an arrest, a reasonable response to his behavior, which I don't even believe a taser at this point. They didn't even attempt to physically accost him, as far as I can tell. But he was entitled to be arrested, prosecuted by the state attorney's office, tried by a jury of his peers, and then, if found guilty, punished by a judge, right? And what they've essentially done is they have robbed the public of answers, right? They've robbed the potential victims of these alleged crimes of any answers, and they've robbed Mr. Taylor of his life, his family of his life. He was a young man. He was 32 years old. And I sat on this video long enough to try to figure out something, right? To be a good attorney and think of some possible explanation. And I can't think of one that makes sense. Not one.
This took place August 3rd. What has been the response, reaction from police department, from district attorney?
Yeah. So I haven't spoken with or heard from the district attorney at all. I will say this, and this is information that I'm not sure is public at this point, but I'm going to go ahead and say it now. This murder actually occurred. This is the City of Hollywood Police Department that fired these shots, is my understanding. The actual murder occurred in another city, in an adjoining city, the city next over, if you will. So that city is investigating, but I haven't gotten any information from them. I've submitted public records requests to the city of Miramar, which is where this actually occurred, right north of Miami, the city of Hollywood, and FDLE, who is investigating the shooting right now. But I haven't received really anything from any of those departments. So we don't even know the name of the officer who fired the shot. And it is January 7th. This occurred in August.
Well, certainly keep us abreast of what comes next in this story.
I certainly will.
The shooting there just makes no sense. All right, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Folks, headed to a break. We come back. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett tears into Republicans regarding their lackadaisical attitude when it comes to health care for Americans. We'll talk about that next right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible to do the work that we do. And so if you want to join, be a member of our fan club, we've had nearly 37,000 people who have donated since we launched the show September 4th, 2018. And so the goal is to get 20,000 annual donors, averaging about $50 each a year. We're raising $1 million to help us fund what we do here. If you want to support that work, give me a cash app. Use the Stripe QR code. Just hit right here on the screen. You can use that use that same thing for credit cards. Click the Cash App Pay button to contribute. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo, RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Checks and money order. Make it payable to P.O. Box 57196. First of all, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Mail to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. Back in a moment.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat. so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Fraud in Minnesota. Well, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett had some other thoughts about that. And here is how she challenged the panelists today.
I just have one quick question. I have not been here the entire hearing, but I don't think this question has been posed for each of you, and we can start at the far end. Do you believe that all Somalis are engaged in fraud?
I do not, and I'd like to...
Okay, just yes or no. Next.
Of course not.
Oh, absolutely not. We have good Somali people in our state.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to make sure I level set, because it seems like we want to continue to, especially as we just heard those particular articles entered into the record, we want to continue to just make it seem as if you are Somali, then somehow you are a fraudster. And this administration has decided that it wants a target on their backs. And so when my colleague, Ms. Randall, decided that she wanted to talk about the threats that are being made towards various Somali people, the reason she brought it up is because this particular side of the aisle has a tendency of, if one person does something bad, especially if they are an immigrant, then we are going to cast aside that entire community. So I wanted to level set, and I appreciate your honesty, because that's something that we very rarely get from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. In fact, if we want to talk about fraud, I got a lot of fraud that we're going to talk about, because we're going to get into this, but I am very curious to hear. Let me ask you, Mr. Ballou, are you aware of allegations that $50,000 in taxpayer dollars have been given to someone that is currently sitting in this administration by the name of Tom Homan? Are you aware? Okay, that's a yes.
I am.
Okay. And last I checked, and correct me if I'm wrong if you have different information, but he was given that $50,000 in exchange for being able to provide contracts and kickbacks to people as soon as Trump was going to get into office. The DOJ was actually investigating this, but as soon as Trump got into office, last I checked, he actually said, go ahead and throw away that case.
So it was a Department of Justice investigation, and he accepted the money from an undercover FBI agent in cash.
Are you aware as to whether or not we ever got that $50,000 back?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. Are you aware as to whether or not this committee has decided to investigate that?
I'm not.
Are you aware as to whether or not any committee in Congress has decided to investigate the fact that we know that he took $50,000 from an undercover officer, and yet we still don't have that money, nor does he have any charges?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's get into it. We're living through the most corrupt presidential administration in American history, a $300 million ballroom, a $230 million payout from the Department of Justice because the president got his feelings hurt because he had to be investigated for being a criminal. Hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars spent at Trump-owned properties around the country, Trump-branded wine being sold at the Coast Guard exchanges, American taxpayer dollars being spent on DHS propaganda ads on Truth Social, awarding federal contracts to corporations in exchange for campaign contributions. Kash Patel flew his girlfriend around the country on a multi-million-dollar jet that taxpayers paid for. Kristi Noem gave companies she's affiliated with hundreds of millions of tax dollars, then went out and spent another $200 million on 2 private jets for her travel. For 12 months, this administration has been taking billions of taxpayer dollars from American people and have been giving it away to their own companies in the form of tax cuts, government contracts, or other government funded subsidies. So Congress has a role in getting rid of fraud, I will admit that, in any federally funded government program. However, I think the fraud that the American people are concerned about is that the Republicans are taking away Americans' health care so that ultra billionaires can get more tax cuts. The real fraud is the dehumanization and demonization of the working class Americans and immigrants to distract folks away from corporate socialism that's happening because of the Republicans. So this is truly the definition of throwing away the baby with the bathwater. The Republican philosophy is that if the cost of living for the average American increases, they're on their own. But if the cost of doing business increases for the wealthiest people on earth, well, then it's the government job to bail them out. But I want to get to my last question because, Mr. Ballou, I got to give you a chance. He's been issuing pardons for numerous people who have defrauded the American people. And Republicans on this committee, yeah, just as quiet as the room just got, right? So, Mr. Ballou, talk to me about how the Trump administration has welcomed fraud across government by purging DOJ attorneys and shuttering ethics office across the federal government.
Well, you know, one of the things that's been a common theme in this discussion so far is potential government employee involvement in some of these schemes. That hasn't been proven yet, but it does seem to be alleged. The concern that I have is the office that would prosecute that in the Department of Justice, the Public Integrity Section, has been largely defunded and decimated.
Thank you so much. And my time has expired, but I do have some UCs, Mr. Chairman.
You want to do them now?
I do.
Okay.
The first one is from Truth Out. Trump grants clemency to executive who led $205 million Medicare fraud scheme.
Without objection, it's ordered.
The next one is Trump commutes sentence of Dr. Solomon Melgen, eye doctor, found guilty of Medicare fraud.
Without objection, it's ordered.
The next one, healthcare fraudster Philip Esfermaze is latest Trump clemency recipient to be arrested. He defrauded more than $1 billion from Medicare.
Without objection, it's ordered.
Trump pardons nursing home owner and supporter convicted of $7 million in tax evasion.
Without objection, it's ordered.
Trump
and
pardons,
we'll want all that stuff to put in the record. So,
I will. I got you. Trump pardons cost victims and taxpayers $1.3 billion, House Judiciary Committee Democrats review says.
All right, without objection, so ordered.
Wow, that's a whole lot of fraud there, Tyler. And Republicans, as she said, are very silent.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if leaders are serious about stopping fraud, as just said it here, they would, first start off with the corporate abuse and political corruption that we already see. And even though we talk about cutting lines to poor and working class people, being at the brunt of this fraud. And even we talking about healthcare, I think healthcare is a big thing where affordable healthcare is under attack. And the fact that engineering these costs that continue to hike costs for families where they have to choose between prescriptions and rent and groceries. And yet the supporters and corporate billionaires are getting ways out. And so I think, it's definitely, and I'm glad that Representative Crockett definitely pointed that out.
Absolutely, and we see what is happening on Capitol Hill. I'm looking to pull the story up. Joy, Democrats had advanced a discharge petition extending the subsidies, the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Now, Republicans did not want that to go forward, but the problem is they really can't do much about that. And guess what? Four Republicans signed the discharge petition, but 9 Republicans voted for it. It passed 221-205. And what this calls for, guess what? To extend the subsidies for 3 years. And were wiped out in that big ugly bill they passed. And here's what I think interesting. Remember, Joy, all the different people, all the different pundits and media folks and strategists who were saying that Democrats were wrong to shut the government, to first of all, not lift a finger to help the Republicans open the government. They were blaming Democrats for shutting the government when actually it wasn't Democrats, it was actually Republicans. And they said, well, Democrats are wrong. Oh, look, you lost the battle. Subsidies are gonna go away. You lost. Well, they're literally moving forward. These 9 Republicans realize they're in trouble. These 9 Republicans realize that their constituents are going to have health care premiums skyrocket. And so the vote took place today. It passed for the discharge petition. The full House is going to vote on Thursday. It passes the House. It now goes to the Senate, where Senator Jean Shaheen, they've been trying to put together a bill there. Guess what? This actually might pass. Republicans are in a conundrum. Sounds to me like it was smart of the Democrats, their government shutdown strategy. Looks like it worked.
Listen, not just smart, brilliant. And to be clear, to any senator hearing the sound of my voice, this is not the time to negotiate. This is the time, if we get this bill passed in the House, to vote for the House bill. It's the 3-year clean extension, right? So you don't negotiate against yourself. The Republican leadership in the Senate should take up the House bill and move forward, because that's what the American people want. This discharge petition is just there where the members can overcome an intransigent leadership, feckless leadership like what they've had in Mike Johnson. And they say move forward. And you know who's thrilled? Mike Johnson is thrilled, because he can say to Trump, hey, I did what I could, and yet it could still happen. Because every single day, Congress people are getting notes from their constituents saying, I can't get health insurance because my health insurance has tripled. I can't get health insurance because it's doubled. They're getting that every single day. And they're saying nothing that's done this year is going to just undo it overnight. I'm making the decisions now that have an impact for me and my family. And that's everywhere. Blue state, red state, purple state, whatever wherever you find yourself, all Americans are experiencing this, and it is just augmenting the uncertainty they already had because of the cuts that we know are coming to Medicaid. So we have healthcare uncertainty happening all over, and then we're not even talking about the fool in Secretary Kennedy and what he has done to public health and his attacks on that. All of that uncertainty is happening right now, and we have flu season spiking right at a time where people find themselves unable to get health care affordably. So, Donald Trump has caught himself. He knows he made a mistake. Democrats got it right. We need to carry it through.
Rebecca, the other reason why the strategy was smart, and there were people. Listen, I remember when Ashley Etienne came on and said, "Hey, Democrats shouldn't do this if they're not committed to the long haul." Here's what it did. What it did was it actually caused them to rally around a singular issue. The time was used to build momentum and to teach the public about what was going on. Those town halls Republicans were having, they were getting crucified in those town halls. And so here we are now at the end result of that. And that is the pressure was brought to bear. And remember, these same Republicans voted for that big ugly bill. They voted for it. They got rid of the Affordable Care Act subsidies. But because of the Democrats' action when they came to the government shutdown, they caused the nation to focus on the healthcare issue. And these Republicans are scared to death of voting against the subsidies because they know what's going on. And this impacts not just the House and the Senate. We're talking about a very popular Democrat who may jump into the Alaska U.S. Senate race. Early polling shows she would have a 7-point lead against the Republicans. You've got Susan Collins under serious assault in Maine. She could get defeated. You've got Joni Ernst, who's choosing not to run in Iowa. The Republicans have been getting their butts kicked in Iowa. That could be a pickup. You got former North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, hugely popular, running on the Democratic side of North Carolina. That could be a pickup. You got Republicans have not been able to find a big name to run against Senator John Ossoff in Georgia. And so you literally have the potential. Again, it's not guaranteed. Democrats could very well end up controlling the United States Senate by riding the issue of health care and affordability.
Roland, we broke this down 2 months ago. In fact, I think it was the first Wednesday in November where we talked about where the Democrats were positioning themselves during the government shutdown and why they needed to really explain what was happening with healthcare and with the subsidies. This is also why we called out Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club for purposely spreading disinformation and saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter. What the Democrats are doing doesn't make sense. And then just saying things that were erroneous to Black listeners of the Breakfast Club in regards to what was happening.
I think the key that what we did, the key was walking people again. This is where I think it's important. Because a person who's watching today may go, well, okay, I'm not understanding 6 months from now. Because remember, we had Congresswoman Lauren Underwood on the show. And if I'm correct, Underwood was talking about, I think she was introducing a bill that would extend the subsidies for a year. What did Donald Trump say in late November? He floated a 3-year extension of the subsidies. Republicans were like, where's this coming from? This particular bill here, it would be 2 or 3 years. And so what you have going on here, and again, this is where I think people have to understand, action that you take in October and November may not manifest or show up until March, April, May. But this is where the strategy comes in. Because if the Democrats had folded early, they then would not have been able to create and build the resonance around the issue. Because it would have been, oh, y'all selling wolf tickets. It's not going to happen. And Republicans, had they folded early, the Republicans could have been like, all right, cool, we survived that. But because they didn't, it was every day. And all of a sudden, you literally saw the story coming like a mushroom cloud. And it got built bigger and built bigger. That pressure is what led to today's action in the House.
Yes.
Rebecca, it was that pressure that over days, it was turned into 1 month, into 2 months, into 3 months. And even though they expired the 1st of January, I'm telling you right now, this is going to pass because Republicans are scared to death of getting wiped out in November.
Absolutely. What we saw this late fall 2025, is that Democrats use strategy to position healthcare and healthcare subsidies as an issue in 2026, not just a wedge issue. And we say wedge issue, so to explain to your audience, it's the issue that you use to drive people politically, right? But what Democrats actually did, they moved it from just a wedge issue, but they turned it into a voting issue. Because one thing that we have learned since 2009, 2010, is that healthcare subsidies, premium costs are a voting issue. It drives people to the polls. It's one reason why in 2010, Republicans were able to use it to beat Democrats over the head, and Democrats lost the midterms in 2010. There were other things as well, but those healthcare town halls was the catalyst that Republicans use. Even though the idea or the name of Obamacare doesn't poll well, the idea of having affordable healthcare that you could actually go in and see a doctor when you're sick, you could go see a doctor for preventative care. That's extremely popular in both the red states and blue states, in urban areas, in rural areas, in suburbs, across all demographics. People want to be able to go to the doctor when they need to go to the doctor and not have to file bankruptcy because they went to the doctor, because they saw healthcare. And so it's very important. I do agree with you. I do think in the next 10 days, this thing is going to pass because the Republicans can't, they don't need this as a voting issue in 2026 because they'll lose on it. They don't want to go into the next presidential cycle in 2028 with it hanging over their head either. But the other thing, just to mention, Roland, just a preview for your viewers, is that we're going to have another continuing resolution to figure out the budget because we're going to run out of money again with the federal budget because we haven't passed the budget. That's going to happen at the end of this month. And then today, Donald Trump said, hey, you know what? We need to have $1.5 trillion in military spending. And so there's some bigger fights that are right behind the horizon.
Right.
I do think there's been enough pressure for this thing to pass in the next 10 days.
But here's the other thing that I think is important that we just can't overlook. We saw the better part of 2025. I mean, everybody. I mean, people in the chat group, television people, radio people, columnists, bloggers, content. Everybody was saying, oh my God, these Democrats, they don't know what they're doing. They've got no vision. They've got no strategy. They are adrift. And they were. Let's just be perfectly clear. They didn't know what the hell to say or do in February, in March, in April, in May, in June, or July, in August. What changed? And I need people to pay attention because we were trying to tell folks this. One, the Epstein files actually centered Democrats. You had folks like Thomas Massey and Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and these MAGA people who like released the files. All of a sudden, Democrats saw a window open. So the audience, most people had never heard of this thing called a discharge petition. Folks had never heard of that. Remember, I need everybody paying attention. What everybody kept saying, oh, they don't know what they're doing. Schumer, Jeffries, they're horrible. Their messaging is terrible. In the House, Democrats had no power. But the discharge petition, if you could get 218 House members to sign on to a discharge petition, you can bypass the Speaker of the House, bypass the committees, and bring a bill directly to the floor. What happened? That's what they did with the Epstein files. Then all of a sudden, Democrats said, well, wait a minute. Yeah, the government shut down. Then they started, wait a minute, hold up. We got a message. Healthcare, affordability, healthcare. Then it was, wait a minute. We could put a discharge petition for these subsidies. And that's where we're at right now. So for people who were complaining, people who were saying that their strategy in the government shutdown was wrong, I'm like, no, you weren't getting it. What it did was we finally saw in the last quarter of the year, October, November, December, we finally saw Democrats wake up, come up with a strategy that focused their entire party, and people were literally following that and not just trying to chase Trump on every other tangent. And now, what do you now have here? Oh, this is the Wall Street. Let me pull it up right here. If you don't think this stuff is important, y'all, how it all plays out, look at this right here. Boom. Trump moves to ban large investors from buying single-family homes. It's unclear whether congressional approval will be needed to institute the ban. You may say, oh, wait a minute, hold up. What's going on there? Because he's getting killed on affordability. His approval ratings are low. What did he say the other day? Look, y'all got to save me. If we don't keep control of the House, they're going to impeach me. Tyler, why would you be concerned about impeachment if you didn't do anything that actually could lead to impeachment? See, this is what we're now seeing. It's showing up in the polling data. It's showing up in the special elections. Republicans are going, oh shit. We spent we doing Venezuela. We passed this big budget bill. We passed all this sort of stuff. And the same thing we criticize Democrats and Biden and Harris about, we're not getting our asses kicked on it. That is what is happening before our very eyes.
That is correct.
And I think framing the shutdown, around healthcare and affordability, because I think, in the abstract budgets, when we think about the budget's sake, is like whether people are living or dying. And I think that in that moral contrast of like protecting people over politics, and I think moving that and understanding the framework of how the Republicans, kind of move the Epstein stuff, kind of using that same framework to really focus in on healthcare that many Americans care about, because I mean, it's really about life or death, and folks really have to make decisions now about keeping a roof over their head or going to buy prescriptions. And so I think it's a smart contrast to make.
And enjoy for the 1 second. And for the people who were saying, oh, Trump had this economic plan and Kamala Harris didn't. Well, here's the deal. This is Trump's tweet right here. I am immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes, and I'll be calling on Congress to codify it. That was him in a tweet today on Trump Social, whatever the hell that thing is. This is the plan of Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Stop Wall Street investors from buying up and marking up homes in bulk. Vice President Harris is calling on Congress to pass the Stop Predatory Investing Act to curtail these practices by removing key tax benefits for major investors who acquire large numbers of single-family rental homes. That's what she was laying out. She saw this. Folks weren't paying attention. They fell for the okie doke of how great and wonderful Trump is going to be on the economy, and now they're realizing he's an idiot.
Correct. And he's doing what he should be doing, right? Occasionally, and first of all, he's lying. He's not going to do any of those things. But he pulls them out because they are things that he knows are popular, things that he knows will work. And so if you were someone who chose Donald Trump over Kamala Harris, then, you have a little egg on your face now, and you feel pretty stupid. But the fact of the matter is we had to sell it. And, that we have had the failures as the Democratic Party. But for once this summer, we realized we had an issue that Americans told us they cared about. We did sometimes what we don't do. We actually listened to them, and then we stuck together. We united, right? Maybe after 3 months, in the end, there were some who came to the table and took a different direction. But for those weeks, we were united and we were bold. And we didn't allow people to keep putting the government shutdown on us. We said, absolutely not. We didn't argue on their playing field. We said, you're coming to our playing field. We won. And this is the roadmap for going forward. If we talk about kitchen table issues that people tell us they care about, and then we are, pardon my French, asshole enough to make it happen, people will see that we are fighting. And even if we can't land it, then we'll get caught trying. The American people understand that we aren't in control of the House and Senate or the presidency. They understood that. We have got to get caught trying. And that's what Schumer and Jeffries did. They fought for the American people. And that's why people are responding to them. And I think we're going to win the House, certainly. But I think we have a chance in the Senate, which we did not think we had.
But the thing here, Rebecca, is, again, we've always understood that you have to speak to the economic issues. And what you are witnessing right now, you're witnessing a cratering of Donald Trump's support from young voters, from male voters, all of these folks who voted for him. And guess what? Steve Ratner actually posted this. And again, this is something that we kept talking about and wanted people to realize. But you have to constantly be pounding the message. What do Republicans always do? They're always pounding the message. This was from KFF, and this is why that what they were doing during the shutdown was so important, because it emphasized this percentage point increase in uninsured rate 10 hardest hit states. 7 of the 10 states are red states that voted for Trump. Louisiana, the top 3 are Louisiana. First of all, Louisiana, Florida, Arizona. Then you have Kentucky, Arkansas, West Virginia, Oklahoma. That's 7 out of 10. And so what the government shutdown did was it crystallized for people, hey, the people who you voted for in the House and the Senate, they're the ones screwing you on the Affordable Care Act. And Rebecca, I know Democrats keep doing this, and you notice I never say Obamacare. It is stupid. It is insanity for Democrats to use the phrase Obamacare when that was a poll-tested phrase to purposely be a negative. You don't reinforce the negative. And so we see it. Republicans, man, y'all get rid of Obamacare, but don't touch my Affordable Care Act. It's the same thing. So again, it to me, it's doing stuff like that. It looks like they finally are figuring out how to actually win the messaging game.
So by taking advantage of this moment and really explaining what the Affordable Care Act is, that is for those who don't have an insurance plan from their private employers, that they're able to go out into the marketplace. They're able to get a quality insurance plan, and then there's subsidies that helps make sure that they can pay for it and that they're not priced out of the market, right? So people now are kind of understand, okay, that's what this thing is. Now, when I worked for Congressman Dingell, one thing that I remember as the Affordable Care Act was going through committees and it was being written and it was being revised, is that there was an understanding on the Hill that this was part 1, that there had to be a part 2. Part 1 was, hey, let's make sure, like right now we have a private insurance system. Let's make sure that people aren't kicked off because of pre-existing conditions. They're able to have access to a quality healthcare plan. And that's not a junk plan. That's basically worthless. And you have extremely high out-of-pocket costs and a lot of things aren't covered, right? The second part was, okay, now that we have insurance that's affordable for people, now we have to figure out how to drive the underlying cost of healthcare, the delivery model, the delivery systems for healthcare. There has to be a part 2 to reduce the cost, because does it make sense that year over year that healthcare costs are going up in this country? No, it doesn't make sense. Healthcare actually doesn't have to be as expensive as it is in this country, but it's going to take an act of Congress to actually solve that. So what I'm hoping that the Democrats do here is continue this education and this public debate. So then the next time that Democrats have the House and the Senate and perhaps even the presidency, they're able to do the part 2 to actually drive the cost of healthcare down. Because one thing that we know, and to your point about messaging, we understand through all of the messaging as over the last 10 years that people have a vested interest in driving healthcare costs down. So first, we had to make sure people had access. So making sure that they have a quality healthcare plan that they could pay for. And then the next step is actually reduce the cost of healthcare.
And so I want to make this last point before I go to break here. And again, this was another Ratner tweet that I thought was interesting. Florida, Texas, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Georgia, all red states, stand to suffer the most, he calls it, from the Obamacare subsidy expiration because they haven't expanded Medicaid, leaving many low-income households uninsured. Y'all, this is the thing right here. And this is why you have to connect the dots. And y'all hear me say this all the time. You connect the dots, you connect the dots, you connect the dots. And that is, and this is Bishop William Barber, poor people, the working class. Guess what? If all of a sudden Republicans make this move, So they passed that, they call the big beautiful bill, or let's call it the big ugly bill. It got rid of the subsidies. It got rid of lots of different things. What did I constantly say in 2025? White people are going to have to experience pain. They're going to have to experience it. They're going to have to feel it. Remember when the government shutdown happened and it was all of this stuff over SNAP benefits? And I said, I know no one wants to deal with this, but they're going to have to go without food. And people was rolling. Look, the people who, these government workers, first of all, the law states that when there's a government shutdown, that the government workers are repaid the money when they were out. So here's the thing for everybody who kept saying that, well, it wasn't smart. The reality is Democrats knew that the government workers were going to get their back pay. Okay. So you had to make a calculated decision. And when you did, and you had limited power, that's what you had to do. But what this did was this woke people up, because low income people, middle income people, upper income people, all of a sudden, when those letters drop, hey, this is what your premium is going to be in 2026. The subsidies go away. Oh shit! What? All of a sudden, my premium is going to go from $2,400 to $25,000. Yep. And why? Because they got rid of them. They got rid of them. And so this is what we kept saying to people. And so it was important for people to understand strategy, to understand the education process. And unfortunately in America, unfortunately in this country, we have folk, it used to be a billboard phrase, now it's the size of a tweet or a TikTok video. It takes time to have to explain these things. And what you're now seeing, and again, it's no guarantee it's going to happen, but y'all, this actually happened today. This is the vote. There was a vote to discharge this vote. This is it. It was 221 for, 205 against. 9 Republicans crossed the aisle. Thursday, this, what does this do? This actually extends the subsidy. This particular proposal that they're voting on will extend the subsidies for 3 years. I need everybody to hear what I'm saying. Remember during the government shutdown, Democrats were talking about a 6-month extension. If I'm correct, Representative Lauren Underwood, when she came on our show, she was saying her bill would have a 1-year extension. It was Trump who threw out, man, we may want to extend this for 3 years. You know why? Because if they did 6 months, what Rebecca said earlier, it's another continuing resolution. You're going to be back at the same fight. The Republicans do not want another health care battle in 2026 before the election. That's why all of those most major things in the so-called big beautiful bill, the big ugly bill, they went into effect after the election in November because they did not want people to have to talk about the pain. So we are on the verge, folks, Thursday, of Republicans and Democrats in the House passing a bill that would extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies for 3 years. It passes the House. It now goes to the Senate, where they now have to negotiate. It's going to be 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. And now the pressure shifts to Republican senators. And guess what that means? Well, Tom Tillis is not running in North Carolina. But that means if you are Susan Collins, how are you going to vote? Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, how are you going to vote? Oh, if you are running in other states, Florida, we can go on and on. Joni Ernst in Iowa, how are you going to vote? The bottom line is this brilliant move of the discharge petition, getting 9 Republicans in the House, could very well cause the bill to pass in the Senate, and then you see the extensions. And so smart play, but that's how you have to understand how the dots are connected, and you play a short game versus a long game. We'll see what happens. Going to go to a break. We come back. Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble and more on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Back in a moment.
hatred on the streets. A horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds. As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance.
We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
Melanie Campbell, National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and Black Women's Roundtable. And we are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered all day, every day, 24/7. Spread the word.
All right, folks. Late last year, we had the founder of CurlMix on, and who said that if they did not sell a certain number of units by December 31st, they were going to be out of business. And so she walked us through exactly how tariffs, increase of goods and things along those lines impacted their business. Well, it's January 7th, and joining us right now is Kim Lewis, founder of CurlMix, to give us an update. Okay, Kim, what the hell happened? Y'all still in business, or are you done?
No, we're not done. We're still in business, and thank you so much for having me on the show, Roland. I am so grateful.
So what happened?
So we ended up getting the 20,000 orders, which was phenomenal. And I'm so grateful to everyone in the community for all the donations and orders. And my team has just been working really hard to get orders out, to ship everything. But we were able to pay down about $500,000 in debt, which was phenomenal. And we were able to add a few jobs to our operations and our manufacturing facility. And we were just able to keep our business open, which ultimately was the goal. And I'm so grateful to my community to be able to do that.
So you need to hit 20,000 orders. How many did you exceed that?
We got about 20,000, almost like on the number.
Wow. So it was, I take it every day. You were like watching. Okay, let's see. Come on. Like y'all, come on. Let's hit this number.
I have a ticker in my house that counts every day. So I can see when the order's going up, and I'm like, "Look, today is slow. We gotta get on live. We gotta send an email. We gotta send a text message." Or some days it's like every second I'm like, "Ooh, like what's popping? You know, what press went out? What ad is doing well?" So yes, we were counting down to the last day for sure.
Okay, so what's next? Here we go. You got the 20,000. We're in 2026. What's next?
Right now, I'm focusing on building CurlMix. And so you'll see more come out about that. I realize that our special sauce is building in public. You know, it's always a kind of a fight internally to do it. You know, for those of my team members who are more conservative, they never really want to talk about like the numbers publicly. And my investors are like, we don't want to share things. But then my crowd wants to know updates, you know, what's happening, what's going on in the business. And every time we've done something public with a business, it's been successful. From Shark Tank to crowdfunding the first time, crowdfunding the second time, and then protect CurlMix. And I'm like, that's our secret sauce. Why don't we just go all in and build in public? And so I'm going to be bringing our customers along as we build in public throughout the year. Where we
that's
challenges. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, I have said to numerous people that very issue. I talk about what we do here, and I was having a conversation with several individuals, and I said you have to be transparent. I said you have to be letting people know this is where we are. This is what we're doing. And I'm going to have probably tomorrow. I'm going to be, there was somebody who was supposed to build our new Sprinter, and it was a Black-owned company. This person did not. We sued them. We just got the default judgment. I'm going to give the details tomorrow. And so when there's a piece of equipment, when we're trying to do something, I'm like, y'all, this is what this stuff costs. Because we're in a moment now, and I was having this conversation with a sister who's had a business for more than 20 years. And I keep saying, we got to understand, when we say it's just us, ain't no cavalry coming for us. We see how they are attacking contracts. We see how they're attacking DEI. We see how they are going after everything. They want to defund Black America. And so this is where we have to look inward and really build. And that means being very transparent, open with the public. Let them know that, hey, if y'all want this stuff to continue, this is what you're going to have to do.
No one is coming to save us. No one. And you're so right. And what we've learned, though, is that we can save ourselves. It is possible. And I think building in public is going to allow people to just be bought in and really feel like we're being honest, because I think that sometimes people think we're hiding things, and that's never the intention. It's always with the intention to protect the business. But I think you can protect the business and still be transparent at the same time. Maybe, in fact, protecting the business is being transparent, So that is my focus for 2026, building CurlMix.
All right, then. Well, congratulations. Glad you hit it on the number. It's still in business. For folks who want to check your product out, what site did they go to?
CurlMix.com. We sold out of a lot of things. The only thing available to buy is our 10 for 10. So which is basically 10 products for $10 each. We are still getting out the orders from December. So, we had 20,000 orders. A lot of those 20,000, like 10,000 came in right at the end. And so we are focused on getting those orders out and should be caught up by the end of this month. And then the 10 is the best thing to buy because everything else is out of stock right now.
All right, then. Well, look, congratulations. I'm sure that is a huge sigh of relief for you. Y'all were just, pushing and pushing and pushing. But that's what, the reality is when entrepreneurship, that's what it's all about. And so congratulations, and we look forward to great things in 2026.
Thank you for having me, Roland. I appreciate you.
All right, folks, going to a quick break, coming right back. Headlines with Brittany Noble. Back in a moment.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of Black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased Black voters. Their goal, erase Black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
In this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power. That's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Brittany, turn your phone off.
All right, folks, time for Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble.
Roland, the trial of a former Uvalde, Texas school police officer accused of failing to act during the 2022 Robb Elementary shooting resumes on Thursday. Adrian Gonzalez has pleaded not guilty to 29 counts of child abandonment and endangerment stemming from the massacre that left 21 people dead. Prosecutors say a key witness has changed her testimony, now placing the shooter closer to Gonzalez than she did in statements given to a Texas Ranger during the original 2022 investigation. Now, if convicted, Gonzalez could face up to 2 years in prison. A legal showdown is unfolding between a major U.S. county and the federal government over millions in COVID-19 public health funding. Dallas County has filed a federal lawsuit against the Trump administration's health department and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, accusing federal officials of unlawfully reclaiming $70 million in pandemic relief funds. County leaders say the case highlights a broader conflict between local governments and Washington over just how much discretion states and counties have in using public health money approved during the pandemic. Wells Fargo in Dallas, Texas is denying a grandmother's $15,000 fraud claim. 83-year-old Billy Young wrote a check in August of 2024 to pay off her car loan. But she learned that someone had altered the payee's name on the check and had cashed it. After disputing the claim, Wells Fargo refused to reimburse her the stolen check. More than a year later, the case remains unsolved. The bank notified her in May that she had missed a 30-day deadline to file a claim. Her granddaughter filed a police report and an appeal on her behalf with the bank. Wells Fargo says that it is now reviewing the case. Young did close her account after banking with Wells Fargo for 30 years. The Texas American Federation of Teachers has filed a federal lawsuit against the Texas Education Agency and its commissioner. It comes after an investigation of teachers' social media posts following the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The lawsuit claims that the investigations were unlawful and that the TEA's actions violated educators' free speech rights. The AFT argues that the TEA's policy directed school districts to report reprehensible and inappropriate content on social media, leading to disciplinary actions against teachers. The lawsuit seeks a court order blocking the investigations and requiring the TEA to retract its policy. Also, a Black Virginia couple is suing Buffalo Wild Wings after claiming their receipt had a racial slur on it. Get this, Mark and Natasha Lamone say that they were dining in at the Woodbridge restaurant. Then they asked for a check, and that's when they noticed the word NIGS on their items. The word had been printed on both the bag and the order receipt. The couple is accusing the restaurant of inflicting intentional emotional distress, and now they're seeking $5 million. Roland, back to you.
All right, Brittany, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Well, guess what, folks? The other day, Republicans in Kansas said, sorry, y'all. Redistricting ain't going to be happening. We can't gerrymander seats here. Well, guess what? In Kentucky, this news as well. There's one Democratic representative in Kentucky. A Republican leader there told the White House, nope, ain't going to happen either. So that's another issue that they have. Jordan, these Republicans, they already ticked off because Indiana Republicans voted it down. Now Kansas and Kentucky. So their whole plan to gerrymander the map is blown up in their face, and they really screwed up because the actions that Democrats took in California and other places as well. And so it did not get them the results that they wanted.
I don't know. Can you? Okay, good. I'm on. No, it didn't get them the results that they want. I mean, I've long said this on this show and other places. There's only so much you can do and so much you can push. And then sometimes people say, we've had enough. They've clearly heard from their constituents at home that they don't want this. And I think some of them genuinely are concerned about the nation. I know we kind of poo-poo conversations about democracy, but they're seeing that for every action, there is a reaction. And Democrats can do just what they do. So if that's not the country that they want, it has to stop somewhere. And they're saying, you know what, in Kansas, Kentucky, it's stopping here. The buck stops here. And some of them are doing a great peril to themselves. There are some Republicans who will be primaried and who will not be reelected because of the decision they've made, and yet they're doing it anyway. And it goes to show there are some limits to Donald Trump's power, although sometimes it feels insurmountable. You got to keep fighting.
Well, you absolutely have to keep fighting. And Tyler, bottom line is, you can't just concede them. You must fight on every single level. And I got sick and tired of hearing people say, well, oh my God, what are they going to do? They can't do anything. You have to figure out every single possible way, push every button, consider every opportunity when it comes to fighting these folks trying to steal these seats.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's in turn done with like surgical precision, as you said before. And I think when things like this fail, I think it exposes how out of step these politicians are with the people they claim to represent. And I think people are continually learning and leaning in that participation plus the pressure can really disrupt even the most carefully drawn out plan or scheme that these elected officials are trying to put in place. And this isn't just about maps. I think it's about whose voices matter the most and whose futures decide what's behind these closed doors. And I think communities are continuing to stay vigilant in what it looks like to protect their right to vote and what it looks like to have a democracy that's representative of what they look like. And I think it all comes down into organizing. It all comes down in how we show up to really to disrupt these careful schemes that they're trying to do.
But what this also says to us, though, Rebecca, is that we cannot have people just sitting on the sidelines waiting. We can't have organizations. We can't have, and I'm talking about. I'm not talking about national civil rights groups. I'm talking about all these Black organizations we have around this country. Too many. I just felt that too many people in 2025 were still in shock that these crazy deranged MAGA people chose to put back in the White House the insurrectionist liar in chief. And we had all folks were talking about taking time off, checking out of the process, doing all sort of other stuff. And I'm sitting there saying, no. This is a moment where you have to be strategic in how you battle in terms of what you focus on. And I'm saying to people right now, this is early January. You've got primaries coming up. And we better understand, we talk about politics, and this is the thing I need people to really understand, Rebecca. When we talk about politics, we talk about voting. We're not just simply saying, okay, fine, here's vote, that's what it is. No, politics is about the delivery of goods and services, the delivery of resources on a national, state, county, city level. And if you check out of a process, it's guaranteed you're probably going to get screwed. So this is not a moment where any of us, any Black person could say, I'm sitting this one out. That simply cannot happen.
Roland, if you pay taxes, you need to make sure that you're getting your money's worth out of your government. And the only way you could do that is interact with your government. You have to show up. You have to make sure that those in elected office, those in appointed office are being held accountable. You were talking about redistricting. What I saw today is that Governor DeSantis in Florida said he's going to call a special session in Florida in April to get them to gerrymander and try to net some an additional Republican seats in Florida. And so to your point of how different organizations and community groups can get together, well, here's an example. I was listening to Higher Learning the other day, and Van Lathan was saying the Black church brings about $10 to $15 billion a year, right? And so we have all these Black churches in certain areas. We have a Black church, in the hood. Sometimes you have a storefront, a church on every corner, and then there's a liquor store on the other corner, right? But my point in saying this is that we have places for people to convene and to organize. We have different places for people to connect. We need to activate all of our points of connectivity in 2026 to make sure we're engaging the community. It's not just the Divine Nine. Quite frankly, Democrats try to use that as a cheat code. And being someone within the Divine Nine, there's more that we could do to actually impact our communities and to mobilize. But we have institutions like the Black Church. We have a variety of Black institutions. And we're seeing that this governmental regime is trying to defund us, is trying to go after our C3 status or whatever nonprofit status that we have, because they're trying to remove all the scaffolding and supports that we built in the Black community to be able to actually self-actualize and take care of ourselves. We have to double down on Black institutions in 2026, because ultimately this government, and maybe even the next government, is not here for us or is going to take care of our communities. We have to be the ones to show up and take care of our communities, and that requires us investing in Black institutions.
It's very interesting as you were talking about our tax dollars, and so people have to be thinking about that in a little different way. I was over the a couple days ago, I was perusing YouTube, and I came across this movie I had never heard of. The movie was Playing Through, the story of Anne Gregory. And she was the first Black woman to play in the U.S. Public Amateur in 1956. She won some 300 golf tournaments around the country. I'd never heard of her. And I saw this movie. Her husband, who served in the Navy, taught her how to play golf. And so if y'all go to YouTube and just type in Playing Through, the story of Anne Gregory, it's phenomenal. I, again, had never heard about her, never knew her story, but she was an amazing golfer. But there was something that you said that she also said. So she integrated a public golf course that was in Gary, Indiana. It was where a lot of Black folks played. So African Americans were banned from playing, was South Gleason Park Golf Course. And so in the early 60s, Gregory walks up. She says, quote, "My tax dollars are taking care of the big course, and there's no way you can bar me from it." And she said, "I'll see you on the first tee." And she went to the first tee. And she was like, "I dare y'all to call the cops." And then other Black people came as well. That's how that course got integrated. The point that you just made there is so critically important. These are our tax dollars. Exactly. These are our tax dollars for the school district, for the city, for the county, for the state, for this country. And I just need our people to understand this ain't no check out moment. This is the absolute check in moment. And we have to recognize what's going on. So I need folks to be focused. I need us to be engaged. I don't want to hear the pity party. And guess what? If there is we already know Republicans don't give a damn about Black people. Let's just be perfectly clear. Republicans don't give a damn about Black people. That's undeniable. But I made it perfectly clear because people are like, "Oh my God, you a shield." No, I ain't no shield. If there's a Democrat who ain't doing their job, take their ass out. Listen, right now in North Carolina, there's a Black woman who's a state rep. Her name is I think Carla Cunningham. Well, guess what? She has voted with the Republicans on a number of bills. Democratic Governor Josh Stein just came out supporting her opponent in the primary, Reverend Dr. Rodney Sadler, who comes out of Bishop Barber's movement there in North Carolina. So guess what? I'm very clear. If there are people who are not doing their job, take their ass out. I ain't got no problem with that. I'm down with that 100%. Before I go, got some sad news right before I came on the show. And that is Deborah Owens. She used to host a show called Wealthy You here on the Black Star Network, passed away after a battle with cancer. Pull the audio up.
In the Black community is about making sure that we have assets that can last beyond our lifetime.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Deborah, I knew for years her husband was Terry Owens in National Association of Black Journalists. I knew, of course, Terry, longtime anchor in Baltimore. And so right before I went on the air, that was one of the reasons why I was actually late coming on the air, because I got a phone call asking if I was aware of her passing. Terry actually, give me a second. I want to post this here. Terry actually posted this on Facebook. Give me 1 second. He posted, my heart is broken. The love of my life, my soulmate, has left this world. Deborah fought a courageous, grace-filled battle with cancer and passed away peacefully on January 4th. So many people were touched by her work, and I will always be grateful for the purpose she poured into it. What she did was more than a career. It was a calling. Educating women about investing became her ministry, second only to the love she gave so freely to me and to our children. Please keep our family in your prayers as we navigate this unimaginable loss. We are making funeral arrangements and we'll share details when available. Again, Deborah hosted that show when we first launched the Black Star Network in 2022. She hosted that show. We've run, we've run the repeats a number of times. She did seminars and classes all across the country, spoke at a number of different places, was really about not just terrorists, not just with women, but also African Americans, about the importance of investing and saving and building wealth. And so, again, condolences go out to Terry, to their family, and we certainly appreciate all the work that Deborah did, just really empowering so many people. And so we'll let y'all know about funeral arrangements once they become available. All right, let me thank my panel for being with us today. Tylik, Rebecca, and Joy, we certainly appreciate y'all being on today's show. Thank you so very much, folks. If y'all want to support the work that we do, please join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do the work that we do. And so if you want to support us, please do so. Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. Use that QR code, click the Cash App pay button to contribute. You can also use this for credit cards. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. If you want to download the Black Star Network app, y'all got a new provider. So some of y'all been having some issues. If you got some problems, send us an email. We'll walk you through it. But you can download our app on Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Samsung Smart TV. Also, if you want to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag, please go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. T-shirts for t-shirt, you name it, t-shirts, sweatshirts, all that good stuff. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com to get our t-shirts. Also, support Black-owned businesses. All the products that you see in my studio, of course, you can go to shopblackstarnetwork.com for that stuff as well. Go to our marketplace to support those Black-owned businesses. And folks, we're down to the last, I think it's $120,000 left before the raise of fan base closes. The goal is to raise 17 million, 16.8 million has been raised. And so download the app. First of all, let's download the app. And if you want to invest in fan base, go to startengine.com/fanbase, startengine.com/fanbase. If you look at the map, using the app, you see a lot of different changes have happened, a lot of different upgrades and stuff along those lines. And so please download that as well. All right, folks. That is it for me. I appreciate all of y'all watching today's show. Let me thank all of y'all. I got so many text messages from people thankful for the interview with Richard Smallwood. We did December 16th, 2019. We thought it had been lost, and it simply wasn't categorized properly. So we found it, and so we have that as another interview that we found going to be airing next week. Former Senator Doug Jones, he was the prosecutor in the case of the white men who killed the 4 little girls in Birmingham at 16th Street Baptist Church. Well, we had interviewed him, same thing, thought that was lost. I actually found that before the Richard Smallwood interview. So we're going to have that on tomorrow's show next week as well. And so, but again, thank you so much. If y'all missed the Richard Smallwood interview, it's a fantastic conversation about his life, his book, Total Praise. Simply go to our YouTube channel. You can check it out. Just click live. You can see the video there, or go to our video segment. You can see it there as well. And please share it. But again, so many people were hitting me yesterday and today, thanking them for that interview. And that's just one of the reasons why we do what we do. Because listen, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, ABC, NBC, CBS, you could throw all these digital outlets, all these people, they're not going to be sitting here talking about Richard Smallwood. We know what Richard Smallwood means to our community. We know what that means. And there's so many people like him who will never, ever get any airtime on any of those networks, because for them, they were like, who is that? Oh, Richard Smallwood? Well, I don't know who that is. Well, we know what it means to our community. And so having an outlet that allows for us to be able to sit down and talk to these individuals and tell their stories is critically important. We're going to be doing a lot more of those interviews in 2026, not just with entertainers, but book authors and business folks and health folks and you name it. And so that's why your support is so important for the work that we do. We've hired, new staffers. We've got a lot of work done. If y'all go to blackstarnetwork.com, you'll see how we have been taking a lot of these stories these interviews that we do on the show, turning them into written pieces on the website, moving a lot faster, getting those videos up. So when you share them is important. This, of course, is this. You'll see right here. This is now how blackstarnetwork.com looks, and so. You see the interview we did there. We represent Norma Torres, an interview with LA Mayor Karen Bass, interview with Congressman Jimmy Gomez. We need to get the Hank Johnson interview up as well. You see us talking there with Mark Morial about their museum. I see good. The Hank Johnson interview is right there as well. And so, folks, this is what we've been working on. So we completely redid blackstarnetwork.com, turned to a news portal. You see our shows right there. We've got some shows that we're going to be adding as well. So lots happening here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the blackstarnetwork.com, and your support is so valuable. I've been out of studio. Because we have been really focused on doing lots of change there, a lot of upgrading on video and audio. I'll show you some of that tomorrow. And so we're trying to make this as best as we can. So we certainly appreciate it. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla!